don't know if it's got the name. The Gomboy Outback 240. It's the medium one. And it's heavier than my other one, but I'll show you that later. This here is like an iron tree. I don't know what to call it. I've tried cutting this with a chainsaw and all kinds of saws. It is a bitch. And they grow in Tennessee in bunches like this. And anything that's over my fence, legally, I'm allowed to cut. So, hold that side of the ladder. What are you doing? Now, if I start from this side, the tree will fall over and it'll bind on my saw. So I literally want to start from this side and this cuts on the pull, not the push. And I'm going to cut it with one hand. They make a smaller one. I wouldn't get that one. Being this cuts on the pole. Oh, easy. Boy, that cut easy. I picked myself up the Silky Gomboy Outback Edition. And I've had this Bako for years. Now there's a difference in price. I mean, the Bako's like 30 bucks. The Silky's like 60, so you're paying double the money. The other thing about this is, this weighs 6.5 ounces, to where this Silky weighs 10.2 ounces. So this thing is heavier than the Bako, and it is more robust. Now this case it comes with is really stupid. I guess I'm going to make, I wish they made this to lock. To me, that would have just been common sense. I could wrap a piece of paracord around that. I don't like saws being open inside my backpack. You'll damage your backpack pretty good. And that case really sucks. So, is there a difference, okay, within these two? And as you can see, the blade is a little bit longer. And I'm not sure if you can see the teeth on the video, but it is a lot more aggressive. So to give you the short video, go buy the Silky. Even though it's more money and even though it's a bit heavier, I mean, the Silky cuts like butter. This thing, I would say, the Bako, I got to pull and push 6 times more than one pull with this. It is crazy how easy this is. It cuts through wood. Is it worth the weight penalty? I think so. They do make a smaller one. I wouldn't buy that one. With the Silkies, you want that long cut because it cuts on the pull. It doesn't cut when you push. It only cuts this way. So you want that long cut. Now, a lot of guys buy the big one, which is like $100. I am going to buy that one after using this and put it in my truck. That way when trees fall over, I've got a selection. But I did get some video of this, and I'll put it at the end of this video for you to check out. But I pruned my peach tree today, and I trimmed a bunch of trees along my fence, and I was amazed how quick this cut through it. I have a tree along my fence. I call it an iron tree. I mean, it is amazing how dense it is. I have put this through it. I have put a chainsaw through it, a big bush saw through it. This one cut the easiest. I couldn't believe how easy this thing cut. It literally was like having a laser in my hand and going down on it. Now, this has another feature. It does lock when you open it, but it has another feature. It goes like a little higher. I've seen some videos on YouTube. They had no idea what that was for. When you cut wood, you have to understand how wood works and how it binds. When you're cutting from above and the tree's like this, well, it's not a big deal. It's just going to fall over. So you can cut normal. But if you go part way, like a quarter way in, and all of a sudden the saw starts to snag, you need to stop immediately or your saw is going to get trapped in there. Now, when you go up the neck notch, you'll notice how it's up like that. That's for cutting under, is what that's for. So you go under now instead of above, because if you went from above, your blade's going to snag. And as you go under, you're going to cut better. Ideally, you want the tree to kind of be hanging when you cut it. And it will make it much easier. Now, I've seen a lot of other guys, they'll take this and they'll say, oh, look at this, you got a pot holder. Give me a break. I'll go cut a branch and make a pot holder. And then they talked about on the back end how it's all rough. They use a ferro rod to make sparks, like it's impressive. There's no control with this. I mean, you'd have to put it down and run the ferro rod like up with one hand. There really isn't any control. I mean, that would be like a last resort, but it's not something I would do. This thing does one thing. It cuts wood fast. It didn't matter if it was hardwood or even greenwood. The greenwood, it did cut a little easier, but it did cut through hardwood too quite quickly. And the Bushmaster Edition has a thicker blade, and the handle's made out of, I forget, but it's made out of some non-slip material. I don't see that. I mean, if I cut some lines here, then maybe it would help for being non-slip. The other nice thing about this compared to this is this cuts bone. So if I take a deer out in the field, this would really come in handy for quartering and cutting the bone of the actual animal to make it easier for dressing. So it does have multiple uses altogether. The only thing I wish the Silky Gomez Bushmaster saw did was lock when you closed it. If it did that, it would be perfect, and I could put it in my pack. But the way that opens too easy. Now I imagine I could loop a paracord around there and tie it, because this case, just this case alone, the case alone weighs 4.6 ounces. It's ridiculous how much more weight you're going to have in your pack with this thing. And it sucks. There's nothing good about this at all. I might end up making something out of leather, because I know how to do that. Or maybe Kydex. I got the tools to do that. I might make something just to put it on the side. I'm not sure yet. But this saw is so amazing. It's worth the money. If you prune trees, if you backpack and you need a way to process wood, this will do it. You're not going to wear yourself out with this. I literally cut some trees along my fence, prune my peach tree, and I did it with one hand. And I didn't use any effort at all. And like I said, you don't push. When you're sliding that, all you're doing is pushing out the sawdust. And when you pull, these teeth are designed to grab, so it's not going to come out. The other reason they make this thing pull is so you don't break that blade. Anybody that has broke the tips off these or broke their blades, and you can get new blades for these. I think they're like $45. For an extra $20, you get another saw. So I don't know. Do you buy another saw? But you pull this straight, and you allow the weight of it to grab. You could push on it a little bit if you want, but just allow the weight of it to grab, and you'll notice it's curved. So it's going to grab itself and pull itself out, and just pulls that material directly out. And like I said, it goes up one more notch. And when you do that, that is for cutting under the log in case it's binded. And that's it. They do make some of these. Silky makes some saws that cost $300-400. They're just super long. And there's something else. Someday I may buy one of those. Again, just to throw in the back of the truck. It's not for a backpack whatsoever. There's been 2 times in my life, 2 times, and it's been in Tennessee, to where one time I was going down a trail 4x4, and there was a big tree across the path. And these silkies would have cut through that tree and cleared that path very quickly. The other time was we had some really bad wind. We didn't have any tornadoes, but we had really bad wind. I was on my way home, and there was a big tree across the road. I had to turn around and go completely. I was basically like 45 minutes out of my way to go around that tree, where that bigger saw would have come in handy. The bigger one for this, the one that's $100, would have come in handy where I could have cleared the road right there instead of going around. But the Bako saw is cheaper, lighter. If you don't do a lot of processing of wood, if you're hiking a trail or like the Appalachian Trail, or it's something you don't do a lot of, go with this saw. $30, twice as light, and locks both ways. Doesn't require a case at all, and it'll slide in your backpack anywhere. But you are going to work harder. If you do process wood and you prune trees, go spend the $60, $70 and go get the Silky saw. It definitely is quite impressive. So this goes out. I'm adding a little bit more weight to my pack, taking a weight penalty, but I'm working less harder with cutting wood if I decide to start a fire. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, I picked up the Gomboy. I don't know if it's got the name. The Gomboy Outback 240. It's the medium one. And it's heavier than my other one, but I'll show you that later. This here is like an iron tree. I don't know what to call it. I've tried cutting this with a chainsaw and all kinds of saws. It is a bitch. And they grow in Tennessee in bunches like this. And anything that's over my fence, legally, I'm allowed to cut. So, hold that side of the ladder. What are you doing? Now, if I start from this side, the tree will fall over and it'll bind on my saw. So I literally want to start from this side, and this cuts on the pull, not the push. And I'm going to cut it with one hand. They make a smaller one. I wouldn't get that one. Being this cuts on the pole. Oh, easy. Boy, that cut easy. That cut really easy. That's a vine, believe it or not. See that? Cut right through there. And that's not my fence. That's the neighbor's fence. I'm sorry for the barking, guys, but can't be helped. I'm going to cut this one here. I have to say, it cuts this better than a chainsaw. Ooh, one hand is hard. if I don't cut these now, when my wife parks her car here, she'll have branches all over her, ticks, everything. Those are two good ones. And here's another one's got to go. You'll see where I attempted last year with another saw and it didn't work so good. So we'll see. Left hand. I'm not left-handed. Only two hands. Wow. Let me get this other one. Now, I only cut the one side because I could feel the saw starting to bind. Jesus.